And then they were super sassy with the back end fundamentals. They're like, this is 200. I was like, well,
really?
Yeah. I was like, at least you're not leaving early. They leave at 3.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Oh no.
Sometimes they try to leave at 1:30, and I was like, no.
Hey.
I mean,
Wow, Dana.
Wow, that's nice of you.
No, I stood up and was like, if you leave, well, it's different because they turn their assignments in at 3:30.
Sure.
4. So then they have time for self-study, whatever. But I was like, if you leave before 3:30, I need a notification, and you need to alert your instructor, and we need to figure out why that's happening. Remember, you have clocked hours?
Like, you can't just clock out.
Like, even if you're done with all your stuff, help somebody out.
Then one of the students tried to sass me because I was like, multiple students were coming in late. And I was like, be professional and give me a notification while you're late.
Right.
And she wrote in all caps, texting and driving kills. I said, number one, I didn't say to text and drive. You're an adult. Before you get in the car, there's the internet. It can give you an estimation of your time.
Right.
Like,
and you can leave me
in the shop, and we were both late the one day, and I let you and Bryce know.
Yeah,
Right.
it's called. We have a campus phone. You can leave me a voicemail, and I get the notification.
Right.
I was like, I think I had it.
It's a little much.
Last name?
HSIE.
I shared. I think I shared the Giphy with
That is not
with Kelly.
site art.
HSIE. Oh, you're not on Triangle Devs?
I must.
No, I don't think he's on that track.
That's
You're
weird.
on Triangle Devs?
Is this what I need to
Thought I
click
was.
on?
Yeah. We'll see if this works.
But they're a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Do we need to see my face, or can we just?
No, what we'll do is
Just your face.
have you do
Hey,
a screen share.
Or you join.
He's on the
you should
other end, or you're just
understand that I
recording.
have to accept this anyway. or-
And what I normally do is I usually have 2 computers with me, and I turn one to face.
Let me see.
And
Where's
then-
screen share on here?
Sebastian splices it
Nice.
in the video, but I only have 1 computer. I have to look at it.
I'll just check it.
Thank you, Dana. Wow, that's crazy.
Mm.
And this isn't just one person?
Well,
It's always
she's
like-
a little younger,
Mm-hmm.
so just like
Mm-hmm.
we already called it. She was either going to love us, she's getting it, or she was going to hate us.
You
That's
like
exactly
knew.
what happened. We knew it was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of the other ones are just sassing because they're like,
Sorry. Why did that even do that? Oh, is it through that? I'm so
oh
sorry.
yeah,
That's why.
there's a volume right there.
You don't need your phone.
Yeah.
I don't need that here. We need her microphone on, but we can turn her best.
I need this on. I need mine on.
You need the microphone so that as you're talking, we'll get the recording of your voice.
So on my computer.
Yes.
I think-
It looks like you're good.
Is it okay? It's on 1 or something.
No, you can turn the volume
I was trying to understand it. That's like which one.
on. Multiple hardwares.
I think I muted.
Yep.
It was doing weird feedback stuff. I can hit it. Okay, we're not gonna die from crickets.
That's why I never. I have my sound off.
Here we go. I think it's doing a thing. I can see me doing some things down here.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good.
And then now that, yeah.
This one? Okay. And then, which one do I do? Application window, I guess? Is that okay?
I was going to group these 2 to help with.
And then share.
Promoting and coordinating this event.
But what I would want to share this one, right?
Sorry, I got talking. Is it just the event for which the that you're working on is going to be for?
Is it only sharing this screen or is it sharing the other? Like if I move to this, is it, I don't think it's sharing, is it?
So, but you.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, you can see me switching back and forth?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. I was like, I wasn't sure if it was doing, oh, it is. Cool, okay. Present. Next month too.
Kristine just wrote me your coworkers. Just grab, like, I'll bring my team and bring yours.
I'll just bring Alyssa and Jen.
Guys, there's so many. On my team alone, there's like 8, 7.
You would be cool with hosting a field trip for the.
I mean, they have high school kids in there sometimes, so I mean, to this would be so much better.
I don't know if this is sharing
I see the same thing you see.
this white screen.
Yes.
Why did it not?
Yep. No.
It was stopped.
Oh, here.
Whew. I was like, what's happening?
So
Okay.
is that your microphone? Can I start with my mom?
And then, and also, randomly let's live the other day, the 18th
I
one
don't know
up
if
the
that's your
next one.
microphone or your phone.
And we're about to like.
I think it might be my microphone,
Basically, bought some.
but I thought I unmuted myself. I was that, see like,
You're unmuted in Hangouts, but I think your computer's microphone. See that big X if you look at the screen?
Oh, to the top left? That's projector.
Oh, okay, sorry.
She doesn't have that.
oh, the projector, oh, because the, if I do,
What are we trying to learn?
okay, I was like, what's going on? Sorry. Okay, so then I can just do this and then hopefully. Maybe,
Changes from the original program to the
there we go, that should be fine. A second here.
Wow.
Guys, tell me, what's your name?
Okay.
Pulls
Whew.
it out of the bag, like, let's do this.
Oh, yeah, she's like, what?
I remember weeping over like inputs and statistics the first night. I said, I can't do it. And then, like 11:50.
I remember, so like I did it, and I got it done like right around like
You don't know that
6
too.
something.
You
No,
got it
no,
done
I got it
very
done like
easily.
right when we were leaving, which was like maybe like 5. It was like the time where we were like, yeah, so I submitted for that, really great. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work on the next level. And he failed it. He was like, no,
You got
you
zero.
can't do the next level. And I was like, well, I was gonna do the next level. But then I got really like nervous.
Like exactly. I thought you finished early, like
No,
in the
I finished
afternoon, and that's why he was like, "Well, you're too good."
It was like when we left, like right when we left.
Okay. The second time,
No, the second time was weird. I kept getting really nervous.
she was so bad.
I was so upset because then I was
Is
at
it-
the same time he was, and he was doing the basic one, I was doing the advanced one. Finally, it.
I was like, I did it. And she was like, "Good for you."
Oh.
Yeah, that's why you have to be great.
Nobody pushed me.
Not like,
Ugh.
I thought these were pretty easy for us. This year's out first week.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like synchronous run. We got a ton of help. James Downs.
He's
He helped us set up our freaking co-op because we're like,
Yeah, we were
what
like,
is
yeah,
this?
it's
What's a
what up?
token? Blah blah blah. And he was like, oh, let me go. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. That's plenty of, even right now, if I try to do it, it would be a big deal.
Right. I had to look at a lot of stuff. We wound up using what figure had?
Figure has all your secret stuff.
Yeah.
But then, just Google like, and then we use, oh, it wasn't Google actually, we use GitHub. To be able to get into people's repositories and pull their information. So what's neat is that you're doing anything for nonprofits. Ours was called Code Karma. And it
You
was
remember?
for nonprofits to make their websites. So nonprofits
Oh, we're
could
gonna do
go
the
in.
pitch. Let's do the pitch.
Yeah.
Nonprofits could go in and they could sign up. And they can say, hey, I need these things done, and they can post
Oh, yeah.
like
So-
things for what they need done, and the developers can sign up for Code Karma and work on.
Yeah, now I remember it.
It's just kind of like
Some-
a
um, Yeah, she was like these pulls and pushes through our, that's a
Very
great project.
And then,
But why are you talking about past tense, dudes? Nobody.
we haven't
We just
really
haven't
kept it up,
Yeah.
and no one really signed up for it.
Jobs bills thing.
You know, you should write Sean Marsha from Ruby for Good, because they solicit projects all the time, and there is no process for collecting the information from nonprofits.
And then if that's the case, like what I do is I would just like trash all the stuff that's in the database, because it's all fake data, it's not real stuff. Like, or fake, like little interactions, I mean, like, part of me wants to keep it sentimentally, because I'm like, this is a project.
The best part of it, I
But then I'm
would
like,
say,
it was just silly, like us pretending that we were working on projects together, and like, hey guys, did you work
that was hilarious. But it was really cool how you could have. I think my favorite part is that you can do a project which is like just belong to the client or nonprofit, and it's just like do a thing for my site, and then multiple devs could fork it. And when they do that, when they submit back a pull request, which by the way is also in-house, which is awesome.
Yeah, you do,
All those pull requests are dev project objects. So if out of all of those, the client can go back and look like, oh look, this project has all these pull requests under it. Let me check them out, and then they
they just
want
see
to
which one
like,
they like best, and then go from there. Because we assume, and that's the thing, like maybe they don't, but some places do have some kind of developer, somebody who knows something.
someone's gotta hold the keys
You know, to get the
that
code
need to
there.
get them.
Because that's the other thing, like, if you don't have a GitHub account, the client will also need a GitHub account.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, like, it's the only way you can get
So
this
that's
to
where
work.
Ruby for Good
You know.
does, they get the client to sign up for a GitHub account. With Ruby for Good.
Nice.
And then all the clients
Wow.
and due dates and stuff, so it's like, okay, this is like.
You should totally, like, they would, I think, use it. They just did, they have a meta team now, and it last Ruby for Good, which
I was going to, it happened, it didn't happen in May. Yeah, it was in May.
but they like,
Isn't there one in October?
there is one,
Or,
no.
no, it's just in the spring.
It's like we're doing a code for good in like Portland at the end of the summer or something.
But I remember during our break, Melissa went to a Ruby
Yeah,
weekend.
she and I led a team together.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, it's in the fall, like,
Yeah.
Are you snuggling with Rick in this?
yeah.
Freak.
But so she, I mean, they just built some stuff
Mhm.
at the past one to be able to kind of aggregate all of the PRs and be able to show something about all the work that took place during the event. So they have built something, but I think a lot of the things that you have built would be either parallel or be integrated. And you could be on that team next year and integrate, you shouldn't just get to be part of Ruby for good, and then it's just gonna get you,
And then it's just for good.
okay,
Well, it is 7. I don't know, like, do you want, for me, I can do this again next.
That's what we did when we did the crash course for
We
Ruby.
did a crash course and.
First one was a win, so we just came back and did it.
Advertised as much. A few people showed up and then.
do you mean additionally or instead, either one?
I can do it additionally, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because like, what if next month, like.
I don't think I have anything next month.
Or whatever month you have available. I was like, I can always do this again if you want. But I can do this for you guys
We
now.
just have to tell people about it. And then
Usually,
have
they
time.
don't come, he said they don't come.
That's the thing. And the next one is only in like 2 weeks. Because we're in the middle of the month, so.
True dat.
August 3rd. August 3rd is, I guess, 3 weeks.
It might be 3.
Yes.
It's like.
This is the 13th right now. 1, 2, it is 3.
Well, today I'm going to talk about BDD and TDD, the basics. I was inspired to do this by Jessica Marianne. She did a talk called BDD and TDD, the double loop. The image and background is actually from her talk, and that was at All Things Open last year. And when May was like, hey, I need a speaker, I was like, yes. But then I was also kind of like, what am I going to talk about? Because I don't know enough. Like, is this something for me? But I actually got into testing a lot. So here's the schedule. Usually we do the introductions thing. I think you all know this, so skip that part. But what is BDD and TDD? The benefits of TDD, how and why on BDD and TDD, and then a little outro. So on Slack and not on GitHub, but that's who I am, so you can find me. Backend frameworks that I'm familiar with, not so much, but I got a touch of those in my last position. Definitely more this way. Did play around with Ember and React and some Node.js. Mocha for testing JavaScript, Phantom.js, which, by the way, is depreciating. Like a few months ago, the developer who started using or was forerunning Phantom was like, hey, Google's trying to make a Phantom.js, and I don't know how much I'll be able to compete. So just a heads up for that one. Nightwatch, which is really popular now, and then Selenium and Cucumbers in the background there. We'll be talking about Cucumber for BDD, and as far as TDD, I'm just going to use RSpec because Ruby. So what is TDD? Some of us might know this from our cohort experience. My instructor particularly was like passionate about testing, so it's a process. You write and execute a test. It has to fail. If you have a test that passes, you did something wrong. So what are tests? You have GUI tests, UI, what you see. Then you have your integration test, the process, right? Then you have the unit tests, which is more of the nitty gritty, right? So what I see, how things work, and then deeper, how things are actually working between the two parts, back end and front end. Write just enough code to make the test pass. So if I have a test that says the background color is green, I literally just set the background color to green. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Maybe that's not the best example. If I needed something to be true, okay, it's true. But then if there's an example where it's like, oh, it could be false, now we run into an issue. That's where we have to develop our test further. So refactor your code and make room for improvements. So here is the TDD improvement is saying, write the failing test, make it pass, refactor, goes on for as many cycles as possible. Where's BDD? How does that fit? Right there. So you have a failing test. BDD. This is a feature. I am a client and I want this thing for some reason because I'm the client and you do what I say. So you write your failing test just like you would with TDD. And then, okay, now I need to develop this feature. So I need to make unit tests.
or GUI tests, or other things that are TDD. And once those things are all passing, this should pass. And then you run a new test, a new feature. So that's how that works. Which is why it's called a double loop, because you have the first loop that's the TDD and BDD. So what is BDD? Behavior-driven development, right? It's the business logic. It's things that actually exist, application features that your client wants that are human readable, which is really awesome, because when I first saw it, I was like, ooh, gherkin, what is that? That sounds weird. And then I was like, oh, this is actually pretty intuitive. So the acceptance criteria is all there. The client's happy because they can read it. You're happy because they're happy, right? So benefits of test-driven development. First things, it guides you towards creating more well-abstracted and highly modular code. It makes your software easy to change. So the examples that Jessica gave, they were using a mailer that was depreciating or was costing them too much, so they had to switch their entire mailing system. If they didn't have their tests in place, they would have needed to rewrite so much code. I'm only giving this example because I don't have a real life example yet. But it was really cool to see how she changed that up. Promotes design patterns and refactoring. Again, if I have to take out a whole feature, now I can change it, refactor it, and make it fit for whatever the new thing is. There's one more here. Prevents scope creep. Hate scope creep. Everybody's like, oh, I have this great idea, and then I built it so much bigger than I actually thought. Well, you won't have to worry about it if you have good tests. Secondary things, it gives you really good coverage, prevents regressions. Hopefully you don't have to go back and make some more tests because you forgot something. Hopefully everything's there. You're not making tests for code that's already existing. And then you basically have executable documentation. No one likes documenting, I've noticed. You get into a team and you're like, yeah, and they're like, do you want to document anything? And you're like, no. So this is like your documentation for everything. So why do I need to bother with BDD? TDD is so great. Like, I can just do that, right? Well, BDD is really cool because it helps you for your intent. Sounds weird. I looked into this a lot, and when I read it over and over again, I was like, what, intent and not this? I'll try to explain it as I can. Communication, again, this is human readable language, so the client doesn't need to know Ruby to read your BDD tests. It's very straightforward. Then you have collaboration. You can talk back and forth with the client. Documentation, again, thank you. Now we don't have to do it ourselves. And then preventing regressions, always important. BDD is not, and this is the tricky part, because you're like, huh, it's not well-designed code? It's not. It can help you make your code more streamlined, readable, and hopefully not buggy, but it's not guaranteed, because sometimes you write bad tests. Automated testing. BDD is not automated testing. That's kind of more on the TDD GUI side. It is also not the implementation. It's the intent, which confused me a lot. I'm like, those things are very similar. But it's more of the intent of what I want. So as a user, I want this thing. It's not necessarily how it's done. Again, that's more TDD. How I implement the thing is the smaller part of the wheel. And then GUI tests are not here. That's, again, in your TDD. So you're not going to want to do all the visual stuff in your BDD. So behavior tests describe the appropriateness, and unit tests describe your precision. So you have suitability versus accuracy. So is my code maintainable and functional, and are the features for my user there? This I loved. And again, I took a lot of these visuals from her thing, which is why I credit her right from the start. This was called the testing pyramid. So as the number of tests get wider, right, you have these different problems that your company runs into. You have cost, duration, fragility. And these tests all kind of line up. So isolated unit tests are really costly. I don't know if I want to do this. These kind of deal with maintenance, GUI tests, right? People see those more. So this is the right way to do things. You want costs to be lower. You want maintenance to be a higher thing. You want less GUI tests because I can see those things, but I want to make sure it's functioning correct. I want to make sure my features are good. Unfortunately, this is more like what we get. Manual QA ice cream with a lot of tests for the visual stuff we see. And then maybe we'll do some of the important stuff at the bottom where the ice cream drips out. Not so good because we run into this problem where no one likes to write tests and then you have really expensive front-end tests that are broken because I changed that one class that you were using so heavily and now we don't run the tests, so I don't care to run your tests anymore. And then you have non-testable code and it's just a cycle of endless nasty bugs and ice cream, which is good, but not good in this case. So this is the double loop, the BDD, TDD. I loved this talk, and I'm so glad to share it with you guys. She had it up on her site, and I was just so excited. I was like, yes, I would love to share this further, but I'm not taking any credit for it. So, first step, add a behavior test. Parts of the behavior test. Language, Gherkin. BDD, TDD framework, test runner. This is kind of like how we do it, and then test code. So let's start with Gherkin. It's a weird name, but it's just the business readable domain specific language. It's, again, your documentation. So it's gonna go through step by step. This is exactly how things work. And then it's a story. As a user, I want these things. Contains at least one scenario and an acceptance criteria. So how do I add a behavior test? What does it look like? Here are the steps. We have feature, short descriptive action. Narrative, as a role, I want feature so that some kind of benefit or business logic is met. They say like use the 5 whys. So that my benefit business logic is met. So that this next thing, so that this next thing. So you can do 5 different things. So given some content, when the user clicks on this button, then they go to this site, else appears, then this thing might happen. That sort of idea. So here's where some of my examples may come in, where we have BDD and TDD test runners. Some frameworks that you can use, Java, those are the more popular ones. I think Behave is really interesting. In my last position, they were looking into using that, and it looked really awesome because you could integrate Jira and Behave, so it was really awesome to have your tickets created specifically for a BDD test. Ruby obviously had Cucumber RSpec, which is super easy and really straightforward, so that was good for me. Python, you have PyTest, you can also use and Cucumber, and then JavaScript has tons of stuff. And then a few for PHP. Behat is similar to Behave, Cucumber, and I saw Codeception, but I was like, I'm not sure how far along it was. Where I come in, I have called emergent cats when you need a cat right meow. And it has some features. It has some really cool features. You could log in as a user. You can CRUD your own cats, so create, read, update, and delete cats, as long as they're yours. View other people's cats, comment on cat photos, become a crazy cat person, all that good stuff. This app is in development. Right now, we're writing tests. So, feature, I have a home page, a landing page, whatever you want to call it. As a potential user, because I don't want people to have to sign up right away. Maybe I want them to be able to see the cats. I want to view cats on the homepage so that I can get my cat fix or maybe just browse cats right now because that's what it's for. So my scenario is the user views all cats on a homepage, right? Given I'm on the application homepage, I can see a picture of a cat. When I click through a full page image carousel, which is what I plan on using, when I should see it, then I should see a picture of another cat. Specific, maybe you might not want to do that, but for this example, feature, short descriptive action. This is my feature. Homepage. Narrative. As a role, I want this thing so that I can do this thing. Your 5 whys come in kind of here when you do your scenario. So given, I'm on the home page. Usually you do a when, so like when I click a button, but since I'm already where I need to be, I'm doing and I see a picture of a cat. When I click through, I can see more pictures of cats. Is everybody okay? I talk kind of fast, so let me know. Okay. So, when I run my script, I do bundle exec because for some reason mine was a little wonky. Cucumber and then features is the features folder in my Rails application. Homepage.features is where I saved, well, will save everything that will go in the script in the file. And it's like, okay, I'm doing the thing right. Oh, there's nothing here. So you have a scenario that you want, and there are 4 steps, but you didn't really do it. So it's telling you what to do, which is awesome. This is what I love the most about testing is that I can run something and it'll tell me exactly what I need to do. So scenario, user views all cats via homepage. I had this stuff that I put here, written, I think here. So I found it here. Features and then my homepage feature. Okay? So then I go back, I'm like, okay, this part here, I need this part, right? I need to do something. I need given, I'm at this part in my Rails app. Then I'm gonna write some code. This was what it looked like, the file for the feature. When you first run the test, it'll like generate a file or something. And again, this is very basic. And you're kind of given this idea. So you're given this template, and you're like, oh, well, that's easy. Here's my stuff there, and I can just fill it in here. So given, I'm on the application homepage. Well, I want that to be root. So I'm going to visit root. I see a picture of a cat. Page to have CSS, image source, it is my cat. And then I'm going to click on, this happens to be the class that I want to use, so carousel, and expect the page to have another cat. So when I run it again, with this stuff filled in, okay, given I'm on this home page, right, I'm at the root, and I see a picture of a cat. When I click through, then I should see another. It's like, oh, well, you don't really have, you have a root page, but you don't really have anything written because I don't have anything written. This is brand new app. I just wrote this test, right? So all this stuff is here, and now I can start actually developing what the app looks like. Granted, usually you don't want to do BDD tests for the front end, but this is like an easy example to go through, rather than going through like, okay, the user's got to sign up, now let's set this variable and all these things. This is a little more easier to grasp, like, oh, an image, a CSS class. Cool. So that's why I went through this kind of example. You can obviously write tests for anything. Some tests are a little better to write than others. If you're using a specific CSS class, for example, if I change that class later, now I have to remember to change it everywhere. Otherwise, it's going to give me a bad, oh, you failed. But I'm like, no, it's not, it's still there. Oh, well, I misspelled something or I changed that class. So just things to keep in mind. So when you're writing great features, and again, some of these things I may have not done the best example of with my short example. You want to have exact content. So I am going to include those pictures of those cats. Independent scenarios, you don't necessarily want to have them being time dependent. At 6 p.m. exactly on this date, I will show this thing. Well, that date's in the past now, so I have no way of doing that thing. Because you'll always get a failing test after that date and time. It's always intention and not so much implementation. So you don't really want to talk about how, when like if you're wanting to test a sign up or go off, which I wouldn't really recommend, but a sign up on your end if you're making your own, you don't really want to mention the full features of it. All the nitty gritty stuff will go in the TIY part. You can mention that they have to sign up, and maybe there's a form that they look at, but how that form's filled out, and the final submission, and how it goes to the back end and front end GUI part should all be separate tests. So GUI tests for the form filling out, whether or not it touches the back end, which you could just use Nightwatch if you want to do it, and that's easy. And then you'll have a define narrative. So as a user, I have this thing. It's very straightforward. This is weird, right? Feature smells, the examples of behavior tests. Totally got me a ton when she said this. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I realized it's implementation. So she kept mentioning that. And I was like, okay, at the basic level, just how is this done? Not like how is this done altogether? So making sure you're not missing scenarios, but not overusing too much, and then not giving too many scenarios. All things that can make your BDD test a little iffy. So now it's your turn. I have an example because I have another app that I've been working on for Overwatch. You can get hero stats and weapon stats and controls and skins and maps and playstyles. So the first step in BDD testing is to understand the problem. What exactly am I looking for? I'm looking for a feature. What is it? What is the feature? What am I going for here? Know how the user interface works. Okay. Well, I know the friend who asked me to build this app months ago, he asked me to develop for skins. He's like, I want to see all the skins so that when I go on Overwatch, I can figure out which ones I can buy with the credits that I have beforehand, because I'll have your app and it'll be awesome. So I'm like, okay. My client's asking me 6 months ago, and I still haven't finished it, sorry, to build this app. It's not realistic. Well, it's real-ish, but it's not. Anyway, so I need to build this app and have some kind of user interface where he can interact with the skins. Now, maybe some kind of calculation thing on the side where he could input his credits, subtract the credits of the skins that he wants, maybe like a cart feature. See, now I'm running into scope creep, so make sure I'm not doing that either. So don't worry too much about how each button thing works. More so what it is at the basic level. Feature, narrative, scenario. So you guys can do some examples if you wanted. I was going to give some time for that. Or I can see. Are we okay? I know I'm not pro on this, and a lot of this is from her talk, and I'm just straight up out there, like, full credit to her, except for the Overwatch and Emerging Cats, and a few other things that I threw in here, honestly. I learned so much, and I wanted to share it with other people, because I was like, not everyone goes to this talk, and I think that it should be shared. And I was like, I'll just put her on it, because she did, like, awesome job, and hopefully I'm doing as well as she is. So add behavior test. We did it. We run the behavior test. It failed because we're good like that, and we didn't write anything yet. And now we're adding unit tests. So unit tests are different from GUI tests. GUI tests are your front end. They're all TDD, but the unit test is going to be more the nitty-gritty, like how that thing is done. So I have a feature. I need to know how exactly it's done. Warning! If your test passed the first time, it means either the test is poorly written or inaccurate. You have not added it to the test, so there's literally a test, or you have code that already exists and you're cheating. So you need to watch for those three things. If your test is passing the first time you've run it, either no test, poorly written, or you have that feature already. I would always double check if you have a passing test that your code is what you wanted it to be. Make sure it's functioning correctly. And that's where I'd use a debugger, just to double check. So writing unit tests. As I said before, you want to make sure these are as small as possible. If you have a function and you need it to be true, you say it's true. You're designing and describing behavior here, which is weird because we just wrote behavior tests. Shouldn't that describe behavior? No. Here's where I want to know how things are done. So I'm going to set up my scenarios for my behavior, which again, we're using the same language. Confusing. Well, it's because this is where that nitty-gritty stuff goes. So what causes my variable to be true? If numbers add up to the number 27, then true. Else, false. Okay, cool. So assert the result as expected. Assert, so assert 27, true, right? It should be true, right? Because I said that. I think it should be. You want these to be verbose and very descriptive. Here's an example. So I have in my spec, use homepage.spec. Try to stick with the same example here with my emerging cats. I have on my route, when a non-user visits the homepage, it displays pictures of cats. So I have some cats. I have Rufus, which is my cat, and Chow, which is my mom's cat, and Miss Kitty, who is my sister's cat. And then here is like the cause of behavior. So it's going to render a page, and then here's where I assert the result. So I expect the page to have this CSS on it. I also expect the page to have this CSS on it, and this, because I wanted more cats than one on the homepage, right? So those things might exist, maybe not all at once, because I'm doing a carousel thing, but they'll still be there. So I have a unit test. When I run this test, what should I expect to happen now? Okay, it should fail because I have nothing, right? And if you're cool, you use the NeoCat because it's awesome. You can just go into your RSpec and you can get it to play the music and do it. It's great. So it only needed for 0.3 seconds. So I'm like, 3 seconds. I was like, oh, okay. Now what do I gotta do? It tells me exactly what I gotta do. I don't have any cats. I have no model. I have no controller. I have nothing. I've done nothing. So gotta go in and do it, right? I failed the test. I'm editing my code and I pass. So that was awesome. Now I can go and I can run all my tests. At this point, I would have so much stuff developed. It would be awesome, and all the cats would be everywhere, and it'd be so great. Oh, but what if it fails? Shouldn't it all pass? Like, I'm running all my tests. Things should go well. If something fails, revert your changes, run your tests again, and it should pass. If you're getting to the point where you're running all your unit tests and something that was passing fails, you did something odd. Either the test is weird or your code is weird and something went off. So everything at this point should pass. Now you have to ask yourself, is the feature complete? Okay, if I go and I run the behavior test, would that pass too? Okay, so if it's a no, if I have a no, ooh, they asked for these things and I don't have those yet. Then I go back here and I keep going, right? If it's a yes, refactor what code you can, right? And then make sure it's still a yes. Because if you refactor and it ends up here, you're not really here. So refactor your code, yes, cool, come back here. Now at this point, we should be good to go, right? We should be passing. That whole feature's done, I can write a new behavior test. And obviously you just go through this, as many times as you need to. And then once you're done, you have a bunch of behavior tests, run all your behavior tests. If it ever fails, add a unit test. Maybe I missed something. Maybe the client asked for another feature that I need to build more of. If it passes, then I just go back, add another behavior test, and keep doing the insanity loop. So that's basically it. Sorry, I can share this. I feel bad though sharing it because I did get a lot of images and stuff from her talk. So I'd more rather just like show what I have because I don't want to like broadcast most of the ideas were mine. I talked about it from my point of view, but I just felt so strongly about what she talked about because it's really.
But you credited her. We
Yeah.
totally, everybody does that.
Slide
There's
one,
like so many
so-
people
I know. And
that
I'm just
show
like,
other people's
I'm
stuff.
not the first one.
But that's like a normal.
I don't want everybody to get mad at me.
Nobody
Be like,
they'll be flattered.
she was so cool. So.
Gosh, my jacket won't open out. I'm wearing an open source shirt.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, no, shoot. Oh,
You would let me know.
yeah, it was so cool. And just like the example she gave, I wish I could explain it, but like, so at her company they were using MailChimp, and I guess it suddenly was being charged, like they would charge you for it. And you're sending out tons of emails, that adds up. So they had to, the way they did it, it was in their TIY testing, they had to write their tests more generic. So then they could input any mailer they wanted, and it would work. So what was horrible was her company, and she had like 3 months to do this thing, her company needed very specific time. So then she had to go back and like tear it apart, and when she was describing this, I was like, worse than because I was like, I can't even imagine like going through code that I spent lots of time working on and then ripping myself, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. So, but yeah, it's like the double loop of hard. So, but it's fun. It's really cool, and I like how when you run your tests, it tells you exactly what you need to do, and then you can just generate these files very easily.
Yeah.
And there's tons of guides out there. Like a lot of the test runners. Especially our staff, we're all pretty good at that. But I've played with Nightwatch a lot in my last position. That has really great documentation. Mocha and Chai were great for JavaScript. And if you're familiar with like mini tests, it's similar in a way. So yeah.
So is Gherkin, how do you include it in a Rails project, or is it not even in the project, or where does that live?
That's a good question. Gherkin is the language that's used in Cucumber or other BDD test frameworks. Yeah, that's what they call it. I think there might be another one that you can use, but typically it's Gherkin, and that's the feature scenario. Yeah.
And then those files, though, are stored in your project.
Yeah, so I have, and I did delete some of them because I didn't actually keep them because I didn't like fully flesh everything out. But here's emergent cats, right? And then I have my features folder. And I think when I was trying to figure this stuff out for myself a while back, I was like, oh, how do I do this? I'm pretty sure Cucumber RSpec has documentation, if not together on separate occasions, and you can kind of pick through it. So I have my features here, and then step definitions is where this stuff lived, the homepage steps. So given I'm on the route, here's how I get to those things. And then just in the features folder, I had that homepage feature, which that's your Gherkin right there. So it's like a weird thing to say, but it's fun. And then I think this one is, yeah, so this is more like your RSpec, what you're typically used to seeing. So very basic.
Yeah, but I would not feel silly about the woman.
No, I wanted everybody to know.
Yeah, yeah.
I constantly wanted to make sure I was crediting them because I felt like so.
Because we usually post people's slides.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it as long
Yeah.
as I won't mention. I did mention her name. And
Yes. Yeah, no, you totally.
I'm like, president of Twitter and stuff.
You're totally an ex-teacher. On plagiarism.
Right? They're just gonna hear like you plagiarize. And
You
like,
cite your sources.
I like cited her in every slide and I talked about how great her talk was. So
Yeah, no, you're
like, she's cool. Yeah. So that's what I got. Emerging cats and Overwatch. We gotta get on it.
And then we don't have someone for next month yet.
Okay,
I would love if you want to do it.
I'm fine, yeah. But then that means we have to do the examples. No.
Okay, that's.
I incorporated examples.
I accept that challenge.
So when you update the topic, and let me know, and then I'll put the link in the newsletter.
Awesome. And I'll get like so many people here, it'll be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a party.
Yeah. Yeah. I like testing a lot. I just like how it tells you how to do it.
So,
Yeah, that's real. I learned a whole bunch of things. Like, I've always
I hope
been
so.
confused about,
It's
like, I've never gotten,
yeah.
they're different, they're the same, and you're right, it's the same language, and it's like, I don't.
And what confused me the most, especially BDD is behavior-driven development, but then that's really what you do in development.
Right.
So I was like, why do they call this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I don't even understand why that's like that. So,
Yeah.
and then like when I was going through this, because Cucumber I was familiar with, and Cucumber is the same regardless of where you use it, because it's still just Gherkin. You're not actually using it in Ruby language necessarily, except for when you get down to your feature part where it's like given this, like the root path, that stuff is Ruby. But before then, you're using Gherkin. So everything else is the same. So if you're doing PHP, that given you're going to a certain root or whatever, you write in PHP. And Cucumber is basically in everything. You can use it in every language. JavaScript, I think, has obviously more test runners. I've used Mochai. I think Karma, the last position, was really looking into that because they were doing React. And then this is really awesome for BDD with the Jira tickets being set up exactly like user wants these things, and it was literally written that way. Because I was working with the lead developer from AT&T, really trying to figure it out. And we just did a silly example where it's like, if I don't have enough coffee in the morning, I can't code. So, yeah, so it's really great.
The other thing that I learned was, or just hadn't thought of, was the thing about then you might have code that's already, and that's why it's.
Yeah, so if you're regression testing, definitely just double check that everything's actually lined up the way you have it. In Ruby, I like using pry, so I will pry everything. And that just helps because then I know exactly what it is. And there were so many, like even when I was in the yard, like doing my code, and I'm like, yeah, it's the thing that I wanted. Yeah, it's passing. And then I look at it in pry, and I was like, that is not even close to what I thought it was. It's like a totally different variable, and what is that? So it was really helpful to do that because I was like, oh, my test is passing. Cool, I can just move on. And then I was like, oh, what is this? So, yeah. Yeah. And I think what was interesting was like, so like BHAT, behave, and then JBehave, they're kind of all similar, just different languages. So I'd like to look into more. If there's like a specific, like, I'm not pro level yet. I'll have to like go to the coding Olympics for that. But you know, maybe someday I can get to that level. But I was thinking, like if there were any of these that we wanted to specifically focus on, like, because this is, so Selenium Cucumber is more BDD, and that would be just like full on BDD and just talk about like the scenario and like given this and how to like fully develop the BDD test for it.
I would like that.
Yeah, so we could try something like that. Nightwatch I'm a little more familiar with than these guys. I probably should flip this thing. But yeah, like I like Mochai a little bit better since it's depreciating slowly. Yeah, so but these guys, this is like vanilla JavaScript. So if you're front end familiar, then this will be very easy for you. This is kind of the same idea with vanilla JavaScript, and then Selenium is just the WebDriver, and then Cucumber, which is your Gherkin, and your BDD stuff. So, yeah, Selenium is a whole other monster. So, I've been working a lot with that in the new position. I'm trying to do a lot of automated testing, so they're like, oh, Selenium, and I'm like, oh, so it's fun. But yeah, so if that's something you're interested in, I can try to map something out.
I would be into it.
That's good.
Sorry you hopped in, like literally.
Oh, I'm sorry, I hopped in. It's,
You're cool, it's fine.
worst timing.
So,
was
No,
coming.
perfect, yeah.
But, yeah, I didn't realize this was happening until So I just decided, hey,
Yeah, we didn't,
show up.
I kind of failed us on the promotion.
Oh.
Did anybody have any like questions? I know like people were like, oh, I learned a lot. That's great, because I'm like, I learned a lot when I went to this first talk, and I was like, I gotta share this with everyone I know. So it's like people who don't even go, and I'm like, that's great. Yeah! So, but yeah. I don't know, I like testing.
You're one of the only ones I've heard that from today.
What about you showed up in like suspenders and like, I like testing?
I'm gonna tell them why testing. They're just like, we don't like it. We want to stay with front end. We don't want to do this anymore. Because they do front end fundamentals and they do back end fundamentals, whether they like it or not.
You'll like it.
You'll learn to like it.
Yeah.
Well,
Learn to like it part.
I was like,
What is this?
for some of the slides you guys missed, so like,
But to be fair,
it can get tricky. So like,